2, 1. Welcome to another episode of Progress Always. Michael and Nicole. We're taking the three-headed approach today with Karen Nowicki, the founder of iNudge and Phoenix Radio Business X. Thank you, my dear, for joining us today. I'm excited. This is a new format for us, and I'm pumped to actually work with both of you in this amazing conversation.
Same. I'm looking forward to it. We met, has it been 2 weeks or 3 weeks? We met for coffee.
Yeah, we reconnected in person for the first time in quite a while. Pre-pandemic, we featured CrossFit PHX at the time, now Next Level, on Phoenix Radio Business X, and wanted to make sure that got you and Nicole connected. And what was interesting, prior to our reconnection at the coffee shop, Nicole only knows you from social media, and my wife, and we'll do your Berkman profile here soon enough. My wife has a craving for information, and she needs to know why we're interrupting her very important day for this conversation. Who is this person going to be for me? And my mission as her husband, business partner, is to introduce her to other badass women. Because just like we got into at the coffee shop, what was really interesting is on social media, my observation is that women are so inclusive for each other. I see it on Nicole's posts all the time. I'm here for it. You go, girl, blah, blah, blah. And then we get out here in the real world and it's like, where's your fan club? Where are all these women that are quote unquote here for it? So for me, when I meet a woman like you, I'm like, well, fuck, we need to connect.
And we instantly found love with each other.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, enough so that here we are, and then we've got you guys coming back on together next month, I think, and then we even got to see each other in person again at the Culture Crush event at Arizona Wilderness. So yeah, I love swimming in the same pond, and I appreciate that Nicole wants to do the same.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yay. Until I get my assessment debrief, then we might have to change course.
It's interesting because we haven't done the debrief yet. I find myself in this position where I almost could lead myself to believe that I know more about you than you know about yourself right now.
Oh, really interesting. The challenge accepted. I'm gonna throw you off if I can.
We talked about what I love about you, Karen, is your to be fair, I haven't known you all that long in the grand scheme of life, but just in the most recent, probably 18 months, you've come into this really high level of transparency about where you're at in the world and how you're feeling and what you're going through and what you're doing to elevate yourself. Radio Business X, iNudge, all things. And in that vulnerability, I've found the following of your story to be quite engaging. Not having all of that information prior to the last 18 months, have you always been that vulnerable? Or is that a new practice for you?
And no, it is my calling. And it's interesting that you say that, and thank you, because I really am mindful of how I want to show up in the world. So when someone can kind of speak back to what I'm shooting for in life and it resonates and it's synced up, I'm excited because I really don't want to pretend to be anybody that different than I am. And what Michael's speaking to is 3 years ago, my then husband attempted suicide and survived a gunshot wound to his head. We spent a month with him in the trauma intensive care unit. And then a month after that in a post-acute facility, only for the physical recovery, the OT, PT, speech therapy, all that. I didn't realize that we had been tanked financially in his addiction. And so I didn't have the money to find a facility that would take him for both the mental health component and the physical aspect of it. It's a whole nother story for a different day. And it's even a story that I'm not as committed to telling anymore because it's no longer my story, it's Mike's story. But to answer your question, the third day that Mike was in the hospital, I woke up and I'm in complete trauma, chaos, meltdown. And I wake up and I hear this voice, and I'm going to call it God or higher power, whatever. To me, it's God. Literally woke up and heard, "You are going to talk about this while it's happening." Mm-hmm. And I thought, yeah, no, I don't want to. No, thank you. That sucks. And then the next thing I heard was, "I've prepared you your whole life for this." And then I was pissed. I thought, here's my husband of 15 years that I dearly loved and still love and thought we would be together forever. And we have a kiddo together who at the time was 12 and a half. He just turned 16. And I thought, you're asking too much of me. I had always been, as long as social media has been around, I was an early adopter on Facebook in 2008, I think. So my youngest kiddo of 3, my 16-year-old, grew up, with mom on social media. We even wrote a book about all the funny things that he said on social media and did it for charity. And I've been through postpartum depression. I've been through another divorce, just, all these things in life, being a business owner, just navigating life and wanting to have people just see me, authentically me, and maybe a slice of themselves in that story if there's something for them, right? I always write and share for myself first. And then if there's something for somebody else, I like to share myself in a way that maybe makes somebody think. That really is that's the depth. There's no more to it than that. But when I had that calling, I thought, oh my God, this is too much. I mean, suicide and mental health and addiction. And at the time, I didn't know if he was going to live or die. And it was very private for his family, who knew that I was less private. And so I had to deal with that. And none of that ended well. And yet I hear people say what you've just shared, that there's something in there for all of us when we can just be authentically us. And so I'll just stop and pause for whatever the next question or where this goes for you guys in your thinking with this thought. Now that that's behind me, and it's been 3 years, I've been divorced now for, I don't even know how long, I think maybe 2 years. And Mike, Ivan's dad, is no longer a part of our life by his choosing and his family's choosing. And so, like I said a few minutes ago, that's no longer our story. How do I continue to grieve the loss, show up and love my life, start dating again, build my business, take it off of dormant and take it to the next level, all the while still kind of battling the demons and the doubt that sometimes show up. So thank you for the acknowledgement and just the opportunity to become friends, even though it's been really just, social media. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys both better.
Yeah. Well, watching you navigate the room at that event, I said to myself, I'm like, oh, one, I can't wait to do her Berkman, because I bet she's got a little bit of green in her. She's a connector for sure. But also you have a genuine caring for others, and your curation of your social circle. You can tell that you're very meticulous about it. You don't put people in a room for the sake of filling the room. There's a lot of intention by design. Even if it feels to us like these meetings are random, it's like, no, you're in the background playing chess, right? All of these people need to know each other. I don't need to explicitly tell them why. I'm just going to let the chemistry do its thing. When did you become aware of that nuance?
That wasn't even my event, just so we're clear. Other than being a sponsor, I was just asked to show up and kick the night off, and I'm super proud of Kendra and her team. Yeah. And the fruits of our labor show up when we care deeply for each other. The magic is it begins to look like that, right? People want to swim in our pond. People want to hang out with us, and yeah, it's just a great reminder to surround yourself with like-minded people, and everybody, the vibration gets lifted when we're taking care of each other that way.
Mm-hmm. When did you come to that awareness about yourself? Because everything that you do in coaching, Radio Business X, just your presence itself is connection, right? Where are you aware of that in yourself?
Yeah, I think from the time I was a young kid to today at 58 years old, and looking like I have jaundice for some reason. I'm looking at my color in the studio, and I'm like, I need to talk to our producer about the lights in here. Feeling a little yellow. I've always been a connector. I am very curious about this this debrief with you for the what do we call the tool we're using?
Yeah.
Berkman, yeah. I'm very curious, right? This is my first introduction to it. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to go through it with you. I don't know if it talks about introvert or extrovert. The older I get, the more introverted I prefer to be. If I'm in a large group and a crowd, or if I've been doing shows or working with clients all day, I'm spent and I have to go shut it down completely. And sometimes that takes hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. And yet I know my purpose in life is twofold: to connect and to accelerate. So it's two things. One, it's to, and I think you use the word intentional. I am very intentional about how I show up, and that's not always very pleasing to everybody. I just broke up with a guy not too long ago, and he's, really taken aback and blaming me for the breakup. And I'm going to own it, because, I am the one who ended the relationship. And my thinking is, like, I was really clear from the beginning about what I need in a relationship, who I'm going to spend time with, what I'm willing and not willing to put up with. So as far as I'm concerned, there's great clarity there. And so I hold myself accountable just as much as I hold other people accountable. And I think in that, it's an opportunity to connect very deeply, and equally so, help each other accelerate to whatever it is we want next for our life, even if it's in the next 5 minutes or the next 5 years.
Yeah, I just can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I just want to touch on that because I know he's the communicator. I'm the details. I'm behind the scenes. I'm listening. I'm observing. But I just want to talk to that for a second, because when we had coffee with you, obviously we, met and connected that way, and we set up the podcast and everything. But there was we needed to meet Jesse and Rudy. And that's what you said to us. And that was in the back of my mind, right? Oh, she's got somebody we need to meet. This is probably important, because if she's saying we need to meet them, we need to meet them. And then we go to this event, and I don't know if they knew who we were or not, but Michael and I sat down, and it just so happened that Jesse and Rudy sat down right next to us and introduced themselves. And he said, "I'm Jesse." I said, "Oh, you're Jesse." And right. And Karen said, we needed to meet you. And then I met Rudy, his wife, and Jesse and Michael hit it off, and Rudy and I hit it off. And I was just like, this is perfect. Karen knew exactly that us two as couples needed to get together. Yes, we're going to be magical as couples, but also Rudy and I are going to vibe, and Jesse and Michael were going to vibe. And, who knows where that relationship now with them will go. But it was just kind of interesting to me that they sat down right next to us at that event with no prompting by you whatsoever.
Yeah. And I kind of forgot, didn't I walk up later and I'm like,
yes,
I really had forgotten that I had said that to you. And I had told Jesse is our producer for those listening and watching. And he and his wife own a coffee shop in Prescott. And now he's here with me 3 days a week to take the business to the next level. So grateful for both of them. Mm-hmm. And I had forgotten that I mentioned to each of you that I wanted you two to meet. And oftentimes I don't really have an agenda. Most of the time I don't have an agenda. It's just this sense and this place of knowing at a cellular level, not knowing in my head, not knowing in my heart, but at a really deep cellular level. Oh, I don't know what this is about, but y'all got to go figure that out. So when I walked up and I was around the room and I saw the four of you, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you guys are connecting. And you're like, yeah, you told us to.
It was completely organic. So it was just oh,
perfect.
This she's magical.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
One of the things that we touched on in the coffee shop, and as you've kind of made this evolution over the last 3 years, self-care, right? It's kind of becoming cliche. Some would say it's overused at this point, and still that doesn't mean it's not important, right? What are because we talk about a lot of morning routine, creating white space with our clients, and making themselves a priority again. Did aside from the situation with your ex-husband, was that compounded by a season of your life where Karen was not the priority in Karen's life?
Oh, I've had plenty of those seasons, plenty of them. And I think, again, when God said, I've prepared you your whole life for this, part of that meant that you're going to be a beacon of hope for people and share your story. It also meant that, thank God, you take great care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, so that I could handle it. Was any of that easy? No, it was complete chaos. I feel like I'm just now finally coming out of PTSD, and I don't use that term lightly. I hope it's the right term. But my team will tell you, I have been, even though if I was present in the studio and I was hosting conversations and building new clients, that sort of thing, I was not fully available. And part of that is because I was taking care of myself. My son jokes that I would go to bed and still do sometimes at 7:30, even though I'm up at 4:30 or 5. I'm working on right now, literally working on how can I stretch out my night a little bit so that I don't plunk in bed and have to, miss out on another couple of hours of being with people and vibing and or getting some work done. So I would love to offer up a new phrase or a new term. And it was one of those morning things that I thought of recently. And I just did a Facebook and Instagram post about it. The term self-honoring, it is kind of came to me when I woke up one morning, and I thought, that's really what I'm a champion for, because self-care can mean so many different things. For somebody who's kind of new to that, it may mean, and rightly so, getting a manicure or a pedicure once a month. It might mean having lunch with friends, man or woman, doesn't matter. Self-honoring, I feel like bumps it up a notch, right? Because now we're not just talking about our physical appearance or our nutrition or our ability to stay strong in our body. It's all those things. What do I think about? It's everything that you guys do in your coaching practice, right? Mm-hmm. It's teaching people to be self-honoring. And when I can honor myself fully and completely, even in my messiness, even in my mistakes, then I have a playground to learn and grow in. And again, it doesn't mean it's always easy or comfortable. A lot of times it really sucks and it's uncomfortable. And it's learning how to be uncomfortable that I think makes a difference for us.
For sure. It's a joke in our house, but I'm so serious about it when I use the term seeking intentional adversity. Mm-hmm. And why it's funny is the first time I used it, I was starving for oxygen at 15,000 feet on the Salkantay trek on the way into Machu Picchu. And I do this post. Nicole's home. The kids are infants, running around crazy. She's managing everything. And I'm like, man, intentional adversity is so tough. And she does this counter post like, while this asshole's in a foreign country talking about intentional adversity, this is what it really looks like. 2 screaming kids, dinner all over the damn place. Like,
yeah.
But to your point, in terms of like seeking that discomfort and, kind of proving to yourself what you're capable of, boosting that confidence, et cetera, all the byproducts of it, you got to go through the fire to get to it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say to that, because the time that you went and did Machu Picchu, like I was in the fire, like that was hard. And I was talking about it was hard, it's hard. Right. Well, I did a lot of other things then after that, years passed and I grew a lot as a woman and really identifying what really hard was. And then this last fall, when you went to Africa, I was so much better mentally prepared to handle you being gone for 2 weeks. I was like, I got this. And you know what? Even if I didn't, it was going to be okay this time. I wasn't putting the pressure on myself to feel like I had to have everything together. Like we talk about honoring, right? Like, okay, I'm by myself for 2 weeks. Like there's going to be a little bit of grace here that I need to give myself on what is actually I expect of myself on a daily basis.
Yeah. What is the choosing of Karen when it comes to that intentional adversity, that honoring yourself? What goes into that for you?
I like that question. What's the choosing? And not always good at it. It is quiet early mornings. It's meditation as often as I can. I'm a Tao healer, so I do this series of tapping that I teach my clients. So I tap frequently, and people do the EFT tapping with affirmations. This is more chakra tapping. I'm constantly checking myself and my internal dialogue. And I'm actually surprised. I just recently wrote in my journal after doing a CEO leadership retreat up in Payson this weekend, Sedona. I'm surprised how negative my thinking still is. And again, I talk very openly about it, but gosh, do I check what I'm saying to myself? And sometimes I'm really nasty. So that's the newest thing for me, is really looking at how is what I'm saying to myself serving me? And if it's not, intentionally shifting that. And it's a lot of work, especially after I have felt that I've been under this rock or this boulder for so long. And I kept saying to friends, like, I just can't get out from underneath it. I think I might even said it to you guys at coffee. Like, I know where I want to be business wise. I know where I want to be in my personal life and a relationship and with my kids and friends. And then I just get stuck, and I have been unable to move, literally physically sometimes, unable to move with panic and anxiety. And while I'd like to say that has just been because of the last 3 years, I look back in my life and I can pinpoint times when I was third grade, sixth grade, high school, college, a new mom, being stuck in a similar place. So this is a lot of intentional rewiring and reconnecting. And which, we talked a little bit about what it's like to have mentors and guides in our life. Even though I show up as a mentor and guide for a lot of people, and that's what I do for a living, I'm never without having mentor and guides in my life for a variety of things. And one of these things in particular is this tape that keeps playing and keeps showing up that says, not necessarily that you're not worth it, but that you're stuck, right? I know I'm worth whatever I put forth in the world and what I'm looking for. But this story that I've convinced myself that I'm stuck is just a bullshit story. And Nicole, I kind of thought of that when you were giving the example of how hard it was that first, I don't know if it was the first time, but that you're referring to. Mm-hmm. When we say things are hard or we're stuck, guess what? We're going to get more of that, which is, I think, what you were alluding to. This next time around, you're like, I got this, right? Mm-hmm. It's those little tiny nuances that I think make such a big difference. And some people will call it like really being attached to the use of language or verbiage. It's much deeper than that for me, because what we think about, what we bring about. And so when I'm saying I'm stuck and I can't see ahead of me, there I will stay.
Mm-hmm.
You said before we got on the show that you don't get into these conversations for the sound bites, but you are fucking killing it right now.
I'm glad, because I always feel like I just ramble on and on. I'll take us on a tangent, so that's good.
I mean, you're just mic dropping all over the place. I love it. No, it's so interesting you say that. Like I was just introduced to this concept called ANTs, automatic negative thoughts. And when they creep in, it's very it's synonymous with what you just described. And when we're working with our clients, a lot of that is the roadblock to behavior change, is the narrative that's going on between your ears. And one of the extremely fruitful exercises that we do with them is put them through a very intentional exercise of finding evidence to the contrary. Because more often than not, your perception does not match the reality, right? So when our clients come to us with the I can'ts, I won'ts, this is in the way, it's impossible, I'm not worth it, insert limiting belief here. We break state, we take a pause, and like, show me where in your life that's true. Can you tell me about a time where you've proven that narrative wrong?
Yep.
Right? And all you need is one to change the game, because now you know it's possible. And one of the phrases that I'm in love with right now is you can't unknow that knowing.
Right.
Because everything beyond it, as you've alluded to throughout the course of this conversation, is a choice. Now you get to choose to continue to believe that bullshit, or just as easily, you can choose a new and different behavior, belief pattern, etc. Right?
And
but you have to bring that to your consciousness first.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Even thinking that I don't have a choice is a choice. And really, I had convinced myself for the last year that I didn't have a choice, that my being stuck was really something that was happening to me that I didn't have control over. And again, it's just been very recently, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can shift this. I intentionally need to shift this. And I love the way you worded it, finding evidence to the contrary. I have plenty of proof in my prior life that I can do things and do them very well, and that I can get myself out of holes. And they're just ripe with opportunity to learn and to grow. And most of the time I'm grateful for it. This was the biggest hit on the head I've ever experienced. And I really have waved the white flag, and I'm like, look, I don't think I need any more big lessons. I think this is the biggest one that I'd like to have. And I know that I can't be promised that. And I'm just going to, like when I work out for a half marathon or a mini triathlon, people will always say when I'm done with it, what's your next event? Like, what are you training for now? And I don't have anything on the docket right now. My response is I'm training for my 70s and 80s, which I'm not far off from. And I just want to train myself to a better version of me. I want to love and ruminate right where I'm at. And most of the time I do, even though the stinking thinking shows up, I can look in the mirror and really tell myself, I really love you. And I really like who you are and like who you hang with. That feels good. And I want to keep getting better at that.
So good.
When you're in that practice, like when you're feeling stuck, right? What is, I want to know more about the Tao stuff. Like, obviously you've built that into your practice, right? How does that, talk to me like I've never heard about it before. What is this Tao tapping that you refer to?
Yeah. So what I'll have to kind of share as not a disclaimer, but as an explainer, is that I have a lot of different certifications over the 30 years that I've been in career and as a coach, an integrative coach. And so it's the way I coach and guide myself, and the way I coach and guide others is more of a tapestry of a lot of different modalities that I've studied very deeply and have become I don't think I'm ever an expert, but have become very deeply ingrained in the beliefs and the philosophies and the use of these techniques. So Tao guides specifically, I was trained up at Sedona Mago Retreat Center right here in Arizona. I talk about forgetting how to, be in self-care. I had owned a social media company with a couple partners years ago. I was asked to come on board as the COO with the idea that we would grow it to sell it. And we had 3-year plan for that. And we ended up being able to do that in a year and a half at the expense and cost of my uterus and my appendix. I was so set on selling this company and growing it, and I forgot to work out. I forgot to eat well. I made time for my kids. They were quite young at the time, but put friends on hold, and I was working ungodly hours. And after my emergency hysterectomy, full hysterectomy and appendectomy, a friend saw that I was in recovery on Facebook, and she reached out and she said, I was just up at this place called the Sedona Mago Retreat Center, and you've got to go check it out. I'm like, done, deal. So it's the philosophy, and there's lots of different, when we say Tao, it's the Tao. This particular version is Vietnamese or Korean. Ouch, sorry. Don't remember now. Ilchi Lee is the founder of this particular philosophy. We are energy is what this comes down to. We are made up of energy, and this container that we live in, I know I'm smiling because you guys are teachers for us for this kind of conversation. So you get to fill in the holes where I have left them. We only get one body, one physical body while we're here. We're not a cat who gets a handful, supposedly. And the energy that what we put forth in the world, we're going to get back, right? So if we can run energy through our body and see ourselves as just a part of a bigger collective and not soul and separate, then we can take greater responsibility to care for our earth, to care for our brothers and sisters, to care for our enemies, to protect ourselves from evil forces, but also being able to discern, is this really something evil, or is this a learning opportunity, or is it both? Those kinds of things. So the Tao healing and really gut health, it's all around having solid gut health and heating up that part of our body, because we're taught in this country to do most of our thinking and behaving from here. And sadly, our brain and our mind is not really designed that way. It wants to keep things the same, even if it sucks.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this philosophy of tapping is cooling down our thinking mind, heating up our gut, and then learning how to live with intention, learning how to be very intuitive and really think from a place that's deeper within us as opposed to our brain. I'll stop there. What do you have to add?
Well, no, I find it interesting.
Or challenge.
No. Because there's nothing new in this world. Right. And there's so much overlap in these techniques and methodologies. And Nicole hears me say this over and over and over again with regards to subscribing to any particular dogma. It eliminates principle. And if you eliminate principle, you eliminate possibility. Right. And everything that we do in our practice is based in principle.
Yep.
And what I hear you talking about is, instead of coming from a place of thinking, you're coming from a place of knowing, right? I love it. I love it when people are like, it's like, what's your goal? Well, I don't know how much weight I want to lose. I don't know where I want to go with my business. And I challenge that with a very simple question, but it blows people up. It's like, well, if you did know.
That's what I ask that all the time.
What would the answer be? And boom. They come with it, because now we've short-circuited the wiring of the thinking conscious brain and tapped into the subconscious. And whatever comes of that in response to that question is so honest, so true, and most often so simple. All of a sudden, it's like, oh shit, that thing, that mountain is really a molehill, and what I thought was impossible just became possible.
And it's such an honoring question, right? Not only honoring the person asking and truly curious and listening, but also honoring the person that we're kind of asking in that too, even if it's ourselves. Yeah, it strips all the layers. Mm-hmm. And it gives us a chance to choose and redirect if we need to. Love it.
It's almost like giving yourself permission, right? But like coming to that permission through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you know, Nicole and I have these conversations all the time, and you know, she's made comments to me about, you know, like, oh, I need to get as good as you, and I'm like, no. You're just as good, if not better, in Nicole's way. Right. And like I had such imposter syndrome coming into ownership of this space in my career and in my life, because I would look to people like my mentors and be like, oh, I wish I was as good at them at what we do. And going back to something Nicole said about giving yourself grace, the only difference between us, me, and those mentors is just time and experience. And there's only one way to manage that, and that's to get more of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it really, what it's given me, going back to self-care, is just patience and gratitude with the process. Like, and allowing myself, I say this to those that I mentor now, like, all we're doing, all of us, we're just on a mission to run out of ways to fuck it up. So you might as well just get in there and just get going, because it doesn't matter what level of achievement you get to. Like, as you start to solve new and more complex problems, because you're developing those skill sets, right? They're still new and more complex. So, you know, while it's a noble goal to run out of ways to mess things up, the likelihood that you'll ever get there is slim to none. Yeah,
be willing to make mistakes. And what's the phrase? Fail forward, right? I mean, again, a lot of those sayings get overused, and it's so true.
Yeah. The in your practice, what, from a principle standpoint, you know, what is because universal principles tend to be universally applicable. That's why they're principles, right? What are some of the pillars that you stand behind in your practice when you're working with your clients?
This is where the soundbite thing should be really easy, easily accessible. And I don't have anything rehearsed. I will say, though, when you asked that just a second ago, the first word that comes to me is love. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that might be the foundation and pillar that everything for me sits and rests on. I believe we are here on this earth to love ourselves and love each other the best way we can. Yeah. I think that 100%. might be my pillar. Am I allowed to have just one?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite client breakthrough story? You got to have one.
I've got many. The one that first pops into my mind is having worked with a construction worker. He came to me specifically to release trauma, and certified in that as well through a series of meditations. And again, my practice becomes, just interwoven with all the things that I do, shadow work and Tao healing. In one of the sessions in his meditation, after we got done, he said to me, "So have I told you that I've had a bunch of knee surgeries?" And I said, "No." And so he pulls up his pant leg and he's like, "Yeah, I've had a bunch of knee surgeries. And it's never been the knee itself. It's always been from an infection." I'm like, okay. And he's like, do you think now that I've released the trauma from this particular memory that showed up that that I'll have problems with my knees anymore? Because part of what came up for him in this process was an image of himself as a young child on his knees. And I said, I can't answer that for you. What do you think? And he goes, I'm asking because I don't think I'll ever have a problem again. He had gotten the shock out of his physical body, and that shock from, this traumatic experience or series of traumatic experiences clearly had been living in his knees. And that's been almost 2.5 years. And he's let me know several times that he's never had to be on antibiotics and never have had any problems since then. So it's just a very, very specific example of that end of the work that I do. When we clear the shock out of our body, we're no longer informed from the past, from a flight, or freeze or fawn perspective. We get to really stand in today and take whatever's happening to us in this moment without being informed from, a place of reptilian brain.
Sure. The fight or flight, survive.
Or fun,
right?
or over caring for people to prove ourselves worthy. Yeah.
Have you had any experiences with plant medicine?
I haven't, and I'm hearing it all the time. I've got friends who are doing it. I was on this CEO leadership retreat, and the last day, several of us went on a hike. Since we're not golfers, we went hiking instead. And I wasn't in the conversation, but about 4 people behind me, it was the big topic of the conversation. So I'm curious for myself, and yet I haven't done anything like that. Yeah.
If you want to feed that curiosity, we'll talk after the show.
Yeah. What are we talking about specifically? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very open about it. I've had experiences with psilocybin mushrooms and bufo specifically, the frog, the Sonoran toad.
Yeah, Nicole's shaking her head. Have you?
It's just no, I haven't, and it's just not something that I feel called to do at all.
I think you have to. You
100%.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah. You either have to say, I'm curious and I'm not going to do anything until I know 100% that I want to do this, or this isn't for me. And I've been back and forth. I have friends who've spent time with shamans, and they've done that whole ayahuasca and all that. And I've spent this year free of alcohol, and coming up on being a year alcohol free in mid-August. And I've never been a big drinker. Social. I mean, my friends in college would tell you that, they went through phases. And having lost my husband to substance abuse, and having addiction on both sides of my family, when I started coming back out socially, both just to date again, but also in business networking and saying, okay, and post COVID, like, okay, it's time to take the mask off and start having conversations one-on-one with people again. I found myself very quickly going out at night for different events, and I would have a couple of drinks 2 or 3 nights in a row. And that's not me. It never has been me. And I was using it as a crutch, and only for about maybe 2 months before I realized I don't need a crutch. I don't want a crutch. I need to feel. If I feel uncomfortable, I need to feel the discomfort. If I feel awkward, or I'm slipping up on my words, or I'm nervous and embarrassed on a date at 57 years old, that I gotta experience that. I gotta be wholly me. So I think once I hit my year mark on being alcohol free, my intention is to continue to abstain from alcohol. And at the same time, I'm really curious about exploring how plant medicine might support me as I continue to really raise myself to a whole nother vibration.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience. In my own personal experience, like I took what they call a heroic dose of mushrooms
A heroic dose. I probably should write
Yeah.
that down as well.
I don't
Don't
recommend
do that.
it.
Not
I
to
don't.
do it, but not to complicate it.
I don't recommend it without. I totally recommend it, but I preface that statement with make sure you have a guide, a facilitator,
Yeah.
a shaman, someone there to help you manage the experience. My other experiences have been very well intentioned and guided and facilitated, and all three of them in their own beautiful, crazy, chaotic ways were beautiful, enlightening, and the integration process and the hereafter has manifested over years. And much like when people come into this season of evolution, like the clients that we work with, they're just ready for change. They've had that emotionally significant experience, or it's just been years and years and years in the making, and they finally had that moment where it's just like, oh, fuck it, like I wave the white flag, like, hey, I welcome that help into my life. Right. The even in the aftermath of something as intense as a plant medicine experience, like you don't come out of it like, oh, brand new, things are different. Like you have to slowly but surely integrate that learning, that experience over time, so that like my very first experience was right after our son was born back in 2016, and I'm still integrating that experience.
Good. Yeah.
So it's not, a lot of people walk into that experience thinking that they're gonna drink the tea and life's going to be different.
Right.
Like, no. That's your awakening. Now you get to go to work.
Yep.
Right. So I would love to just take this moment on this platform and kind of preface that experience for anybody that's curious about what kind of change they should expect, because it's not like you get done with the bufo and then all of a sudden you start attracting all these brand new awesome people, and everybody, all the toxic folks just fall out of your environment.
Well, there is no shortcut, right?
No.
Yeah.
All it is a shortcut to the knowing. And
Yeah.
now you get to consciously choose and curate.
I think that is so important. And as you're sharing that, I'm thinking, why have I kind of waited? It feels like a fad and a trend to me, and I don't typically follow fads and trends. And I think that I'm kind of paying attention to conversations like this one, so that there is real meaning for me and ownership and responsibility around making that choice if and when I do.
Sure. I liken it to a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like it's got a call to you.
Yeah. Yes.
And just like a tattoo, that experience is with you forever,
yes.
whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a great example.
Yeah. 100%. But, the reason I asked that question is because for a lot of us that are already having these high frequency conversations, I don't like to use high level, because I feel like that's
high frequency is certainly more appropriate. Yeah. Thank you.
It's like, oh, I wonder if you're part of the tribe. Yeah, right. Yeah. Because you speak the language, right? And many, as from that hiking experience that you described, like it's not as uncommon, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, without plant medicine, I have had plenty of retreats and experiences that have been earth-shattering. And again, over the course of the last 25 years, I have sought out and put myself in positions to really stretch and kind of recalibrate what's going on in me at a cellular level, with some really great mentors and guides who have been life-changing for me. Yeah.
To that end, I'm curious, have you done like a somatic breath retreat, or had a DMT release with Wim Hof techniques?
I have not done Wim Hof or DMT. I've rebirthing experiences and shadow work, and I've led that work. We are here. I believe we're here to, again, be the best version of ourselves, and we can only show up in that to the degree that we're willing to take a look at what's going on for us internally and how to challenge that, right? A lot of the work that I do when people are doing their trauma release work, sometimes memories show up for them. And again, in this quasi meditative state, they'll say to me, because they know they're in meditation, and they also know that they're with me. So it's not necessarily hypnosis, but they'll say to me, I'm getting something that I don't think is mine. And I'll go, well, are you willing to just trust and go with it and see what's there? Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you're sensing and feeling. And a lot of times people are releasing the shock from historical trauma or familial trauma, things that they've been carrying in their body that they weren't even experiences that were their own. And so however we get at it, I believe that's what we're being called to do, that the people that are put in our life, the situations, the experiences, the challenges, as well as the beauty, is all here to have us take a deeper look at ourselves and own the parts of us that we should own, and then also reintegrate the parts that aren't serving us.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think the reason for people's resistance to do that work is?
It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good.
No.
Right? I mean, again, there's a lot of different ways to go at this. Part of what I do when I'm with clients, I give them a safe space and place to feel shitty, to feel nervous, to feel panic, to feel anxiety. And if you've had those experiences, which most of us have, who would want to go back and do that on purpose? Right? It doesn't feel good. However, when you learn to do it as a way to release and integrate and to better understand and come out the other side, you learn that our emotions and our feelings are meant to pass through us. Mm-hmm. So that is the people will come and they'll be like, I don't want to be here today. I'm like, I get that. Right? Oh, we always joke that my clients joke that I should have a shirt that says, I make people cry. Well, that's not great advertising. No one would want to come see me. And it's true. And guess what? Men and women alike, after you've had a good cry, after you've had a really good cry, that you've just let it all out, whatever the anguish, the despair, the sadness, the anger, the frustration, the confusion, whatever the concoction it is, don't we feel like, oh my God,
so much better.
And drained and exhausted and depleted. Yes, all that. Empty, though. I think the best word is when I'm done with a good cry, I'm emptied. Now I get to kind of like refill with what I want to refill with. Yeah.
Every time it's happened with me through things, and I don't know what I do. At this point, I think I'm just extremely self-reflective that I take myself through these things. I mean, I remember just a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in Michael's office and he could see like it was starting to my head was starting to just expand and there was tears and he's like, what are you processing right now? And I just let it all out. But in those moments, at the end, right, we're empty and everything, but then also it's just another layer of that hard shell has come off. And now you get to come out and you're open again, right? To receive more and to give more and to be more of that energy that you talked about. And I feel so every time I go through this process of this, kind of rebirth, I know that now on the other side, it's going to be another beautiful version of Nicole that's going to have that much more energy to give to those who need it.
Yep. Love it.
It's wild. It's necessary. And, it's really my hope by having conversations like this, we're creating exposure to a not so common way of thinking that one day will be, you know,
Yeah.
you know, with, and, you know, we spend so much time out here, you know, either being, you know, superheroes behind a keyboard, or, you know, living into this false sense of self out here in the real world. You know, when you do that kind of work and you start to sort those things out and either get rid of them or put them in the appropriate place of your psyche, and really take ownership of your existence,
Mm-hmm.
I hope that people understand that all the hard that you just got done describing is totally worth everything that comes on
So
the other
worth it.
side of it.
Yep.
So worth it.
Because I mean, there's so much of it, as has been my experience in my own journey and my journey with clients. Like you said it earlier, so much of that fucking trauma isn't even yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and you're walking around with it, and it's over here in the periphery. And you don't know why, you know, your relationships go down in flames, or why you self-sabotage, or, you know, you get so far away from pain, and that pain is so normal and familiar that as soon as you start to sniff success and excitement, you kill it.
Yep.
And go running back to the pain.
And I'll also say that I'm aware how addictive or seductive that negative thinking can still be for me. I pulled this up and I caught myself, but I'm going to share it anyway. I have 2 texts that I received recently, one a couple months ago, one from my ex-husband. And after this heated exchange, I decided not to respond after this, but he says, "Fuck you, Karen. Thank you for reestablishing the reason I attempted to take my life. You're not a good person."
Mm-hmm.
And I share that not to make him wrong, because in his world, I'm apparently the one who made that happen. And when I'm left to thinking from a place of despair and not enough, and that I'm a fraud or whatever it is, I begin to believe that that's really true. And then the shame and the guilt and all that pops in there, even though I have hundreds of examples and relationships that are nurturing and deeply deep and steeped in gratitude and that sort of thing. I think we have to always be on the lookout for where we can be tanked
Mm-hmm.
and cut off at the knees, right? The other one that I just received the other day, and these are from the men in my life. This is the piece that I can't wait when we do the debrief to learn, like, what is here for me around romantic relationships that continues to be a challenge for me.
Sure.
You chose the outcome, and now I'm finally getting past the pain and the hurt that you caused, and I cannot look back. Right. So really saying, I was saying, hey, let's find our way to a friendship and that sort of thing. And what I got back was, no, thank you. You chose the outcome. And now I'm getting past the pain and hurt that you caused me, and I can't look back again. And I came back and said, I am so sorry for hurting you. It was not my intention. And yet I also can only own what I can own, and whoever else is in relationship with me has got to own their stuff too, right? I know I'm on a tangent, but for some reason I felt like I wanted to speak to that space, because there's 2 areas of my life, and probably more, that I'm working on right now. And if you're in my circle, you know this. It is, while I thought I'd be married forever and will love Mike for the rest of my life, we are not in a relationship. And I would love to be in a relationship again someday. And I don't know how to do that in a healthy way. I continue to attract challenging relationships, and not that any relationship isn't necessarily a challenge.
It's fine.
No.
I'm just kidding. But can I take a moment?
I'll be texting you afterwards. Hey, Michael, can you delete 58 seconds? No, just kidding.
Can I take a moment with you real quick?
The other thing is the money story, which again, I'm looking forward to this debrief with you because I've got this story humming around my ability to financially succeed. So I'm looking forward to our conversation with both of those particular areas of my life, being able to shift.
Yeah. Can I take a moment with you real quick?
Can you do what?
Can I take a moment with you really quick?
A moment with me? I don't know, Nicole. Can he?
No, this is going to be good.
Stop apologizing for shit. You
He froze on us.
Yeah, he did.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay. Yeah. There's nothing about that exchange that requires an apology on your part. And I think that's actually, I know that's prevalent for you because you're so deeply caring for other people and their energy. So it's not a bad thing, but it's definitely the dark side of the coin for you in that regard. Because if you really pick apart the language in his text message, right? I finally moved past the pain that you caused, right? That's such a victim mentality, and you're such a strong woman. Everything about that sentence, and I don't know this person from Adam.
Yeah.
That's not a match for you. That is not the strong man that matches your frequency.
Correct. And
does that make sense?
Oh, it makes complete sense. And there is still a part of me that is wired to or challenged by both those kinds of negative conversations. And I'm the one, I will admit, like seeking it. Right.
Well, no,
so
it's funny because there's a piece of you that gets off on that shit. There's a piece of
that's
you
my point. And that's disturbing to me. I'm finally aware of it. And I am very much looking forward to moving beyond that and finding a new way, because when I used to speak in front of large audiences and, I'd pass out the survey. How was it? What's the rating? I would literally look through 100 papers and it would be 10, 10, 10. And I would be looking, what was I looking for? That one that might have been a 7 or an 8. Yeah, seriously. And I'd be like, oh, there you go. There you go. Even though everything else would be off the charts reviews, I would only go digging for the 1 or 2 that may have had a suggestion for an upgrade. It's wacky.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm pumped to take a deep dive with you because it's things like that. People are like, well, what the fuck does any of that have to do with getting healthier or being fitter or losing weight? Fucking everything. Everything. And because ultimately, like when you unpack all of it, it comes down to self-worth and whether or not you feel that you are deserving of that aspirational self.
And I can say to both of you and mean it, I know I'm worthy, I know I'm deserving, and yet there's still, I don't know, another layer of the onion or something there in my psyche that would suggest otherwise. Because, and that's why the self-love and the self-care, very fitting. And I think those are very important. Self-honoring. I want to learn to honor myself more as it relates to being in a romantic relationship with people. with
Sure.
with a partner, with one person. I want to honor myself more in my relationship with financial abundance.
Mhm.
And those, right, at least right now, are the two things that I really am like, wow, let's
Yeah.
figure it out.
I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Good. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. Geez, both of you, thank you so much for sharing time, space, and energy. I feel like this is a very fruitful conversation for our audience, and there's a lot to take away from it. Even though you're not about the sound bites, you over delivered. So I'm excited for this to release. You guys have been absolutely amazing. For everybody out there in the Progress Always audience, make sure you follow these two badass women because they are leading the charge for what it is to be strong in your own presence and be setting the example for what's possible. I really appreciate you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you, Michael.